Rob from Axel's Garage, and we're out here again on the Big Dummies K5 now.
Shut up, dummy.
Now, what we scored was some military-style, what do they call them, the CUCV? CUCV M1008 or 009, whatever it is. The military Blazers had some real nice heavy steel bumpers and these big brush guards on them, and the rear bumpers, they have shackles and I'll show you a picture. Anyway, so a couple of hours north of us, we found a guy that dismantles and restores and builds some of these military Blazers and pickups and so on. So he had a full setup, which was the front bumper with the frame mounts for the shackles and the brush guard and a rear bumper. And we took the ride, got up there and scored all this stuff. Problem is, we need to dismantle it all and, you know, get it sanded down and cleaned up and painted and everything like that. So we had this bumper laying out here, and I started spraying it down with some PB Blaster, because you know those bumper bolts are really rusted solid. So I sprayed it down with PB Blaster, and then I went to go use some of the Online Sensation penetrating oil, which is 50% ATF and 50% acetone. The problem is I don't have the acetone. And we went over to Grumpy Grandpa Ray next door, and he didn't have any acetone. Believe it or not, he didn't have any acetone. So I was telling him about this mixture. Anyway, what I did was I sprayed it down over the course of about 2 days with PB Blaster, and then after the PB Blaster, I just put a couple of drips of ATF because there was no acetone. I was hoping that the PB Blaster would be the vessel for the transmission fluid to get in there and start to do its thing. And then Grumpy Grandpa Ray came over, and he found, what you got? He come over with this can that's probably 40 or 50 years old.
Close to it.
Okay. So he comes over with this can, and he says, you got to shake it really good, and then use it, and I want it back, right?
Yeah, I want it back.
So he goes, I don't even know if they make this anymore. So I was sitting in front of the laptop, and I go and look, and I see them selling empty cans of this for like $7 or $8. And then I see a couple of used sites that had this for sale, and they were full. They weren't new. They were calling them used, even though it was a full can, just like Grandpa Ray's was. And it's people that have them at home that have a couple of cans of this laying around. $60 a can is what it's going for. If you got a full can of it at home, and if you have this at home, $60 a can. So when I told Grandpa Ray that this was selling for $60 a can because they don't make it anymore, you know what he did? He took it back. And he came out here and he put a drop on every bolt, on both bumpers, and then took it back home. Because now he thinks he's got liquid gold here. So here's his thing.
Okay.
Anyway.
Go
ahead,
now, you go, stop right now. First of all, how I got this is none of my business. But anyway, first of all, if you ever get a can of this, put a nut in it. This way, it has to be shaken, and that the real stuff that makes it work is on the bottom of the can, and you shake it. Now he's talking to his head. I was here last night. I went and I hit all these bullets. You don't have to pour it on. A couple of drops overnight.
A couple of drops because it's very expensive.
Excuse me. You don't know what, I hate to say, you don't know what he's talking about. I went,
$60 a can.
we almost got every bolt. A couple of them we're going to have to hacksaw off. Otherwise, I am taking this home, but if I leave it here, I'll never see it again.
Until we go away and you steal it back.
No.
No, I can't find anything in his garage. Are you kidding?
Hell no.
Oh, you steal it back.
So this morning, before we even got ready to come out here and start working, Grandpa Ray came over with his impact sockets and decided that he's going to take a go at some of these bolts, which we were able to get some of them loose. Problem we're having is they're real tight all the way off, even when you break them loose. And now they're skipping out of a little square hole in the bumper bolt. So we're going to have to do some cutting, and which means Robbie's going to have to go to the hardware store because I don't have cutting blades for the 4.5-inch angle grinder. So I got a sample of the thickness of a cutting blade and a sample of the. So Robbie, behind the camera, you big dummy.
Okay.
Gotta go to the hardware store.
Oh, I gotta jump back in here.
What?
I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. I go out, get my newspapers. I ran an errand for my wife. I went to the butcher. I came home. I did a project at my house. I come over here at 11:30. They're just waking up. You get out here off your butts and you start working. So I brought my tools and started working. And then all of a sudden they run in here.
So Grandpa Ray's mystery oil actually worked really well, and we were able to get everything broken loose. The problem is we have a couple that are just spinning because the little square nut that fits into the bumper, we're having, a couple we were able to wedge a screwdriver in there and keep the square nut in the bumper so we could loosen them off. A couple we can't because they're just tight and rusted all the way through. So we're going to cut the rest of them off. We're cutting the bolts, and this way we can get this apart and we can start getting it cleaned up so that we can to prep it for paint. And we're going to wind up painting the inside of the bumper black, and we're going to do the outside of the bumper and the guard with black also, and then bed liner. And what we're going to do is we're going to prime it black, we're going to paint it black, and then we're going to bed line it black. And the reason why we're doing the prime, the paint, and the bed liner black is so that if the bed liner gets chipped over time, it's black paint. Hopefully the next layer is black paint and the next layer is black paint before it gets back down to the green. We're not going to strip this down. The reason why we're not going to strip it down, this is a used and abused military bumper, and the paint is still like good. Like, it's not even chipped down to bare metal almost anywhere, because it was such a durable coating that they put on it from the factory. It's probably baked. Whatever it is, it's really durable, so there's no reason to strip that off and to start exposing bare metal. So we're gonna clean it good, degrease it, clean it really good, and we're gonna sand it just to get our paint to get a little bite on it. And then we're gonna have to, once that's all done, we're gonna have to get the brackets off of the original K5 Blazers and use his original bumper brackets. So we'll see how that all goes, and we'll show you the bumpers once we get them all broken down, and then we could really show you what they're all about. Alright, so we got them cut off with minimal damage to the stuff we needed to save. You can see this one is this one is fairly straight. A lot of these are all tweaked and bent up from being used in the military, but this one's got a little bit of a bow going in just on this bottom piece here, and this centerpiece, it's got like a little bend there that doesn't match over here, and that could have been actually the way it was manufactured, because they knew they were going on military vehicles. They didn't take a lot of care in making sure every piece was perfectly straight and didn't have a little bow in it or bend in it, like if it was for a regular passenger vehicle. So, but we got it all apart. Now we can clean it up and get ready to start putting some primer on it and some paint on it, and then the undercoating. In the meantime, we're going to get the rear bumper out, and we're going to start on the rear bumper and get that to assemble. I'll show you what that rear bumper is. That rear bumper's got a real neat pintle, rear pintle hitch on it, which is nice. But let me take this brush guard down, and I just want to show you the neat thing about these bumpers. All right, is you have your openings, and these are done from the factory. These are the openings that are going to get the brackets, and then these are going to go through. So what happens is you got a bracket that's mounted to the frame. This comes out like this, and then you got a big D-ring shackle that goes on here. And in these little openings, you have your original, they're called blackout lights. Now these vehicles had 12 and 24 volt systems, but these lights are 12 volt, and they mount from behind, and they're called blackout lights. And I don't know if these work or not. It doesn't matter because you could barely see them. They're to be used for like nighttime convoys or something like that, so that you could see the vehicles in front of you and behind you. But we're going to replace these blackout lights with LED marker lights that we're trying to find that are of a similar size that we could mount from behind and have them just poking through, and then we'll have amber marker lights in the front and red in the rear. And so the rear bumper has, you can see on the back, it's got those lights, the blackout lights. They're a little bigger. They're like 3 inches wide instead of 2 inches wide. And then it's got this hitch set up. It's a bumper hitch, but really ties in nice to the frame. It doesn't go back like a distribution hitch would. And then on the back side, it's got a ball with a pintle. And we're just going to try to save all of this. And this is the way one of those shackles that's not fully out mounts in. But we're gonna see if we can save it all. We do have a rust hole in this spot right here. You can see that. We're gonna have to square that up and make a little repair there, but it's gonna get painted with bed liner, so it shouldn't look bad in the end. Now we can see if we get all these bolts out and get this disassembled.
Rolling.
Alright, well, after a couple hours and a lot of penetrating oil and acetone mixed with transmission fluid and Grandpa's magic, what was that called? Graph oil or something like that? Graph oil? We got everything disassembled. So we got a 5-gallon bucket full of small parts, because that whole pintle hitch setup and everything in the rear had a lot of small parts, plus all the brackets for those D-ring shackle mounts. So this 5-gallon bucket and this piece there, we need to find a local sandblaster to get them blasted. That would be the easiest thing, because they're really cruddy, and to get it all to look nice and work nice, blasting is probably our best bet for those parts. This rear bumper's got a lot of paint and flaking shit on it, and we're probably going to use the old-fashioned drill on a wire wheel to get this pretty smooth. We'll fix that rust hole in the corner, we'll weld a little piece in there, and then that is good. As far as the front bumper and the front grill guard go, though, they're in really nice shape. We're just going to give them a light sand, and we can paint them. So that's our game plan. But that's it for today, because Big Dummy's going fishing. So we're going to clean up the mess we made, and then we'll take the next step in a couple days when we get back together. Thanks for watching.